Exercise 4. Aim. Finding out where you are gathering up energy from. Notice if you are trying to gather up good energy feel scores from the escape world or other people's feel. If you are, just note this. Do not try and change this yet. You must take responsibility for accepting who you are and what is happening in your life. If you are scoring your own low or minus feel scores from a situation you are in, you really need to understand that you are allowing this to happen by being in this space. Expressing the facts to yourself and or the people around you about this is the next step. This must be done in a kind and humble way without any emotional drama. This ensures that you stick to the facts. Simply point out how you are feeling and what you are going to do about it. Stress the fact that it is to do with how you feel and not about the other person, and you have to take action on this. Slowly, you will begin to shift towards the positive feeler dynamic. The need to find plus feel scores from the escape world or other people's feel will slowly diminish. Hi there. So exercise 4. Where are we gathering up our energy from? Well, once you start to identify where you're getting the minus feels from, it's very empowering, and you really start to see what's actually happening rather than what you think should be happening, or rather than following some rules that may or may not work for you. So once you decide, okay, well, I've identified what's giving me a minus feel score situation in this situation, and I'm going to actually address this by, it could be speaking to another person about something, about how they're behaving, or whatever. What you must do is just to explain it in a kind and humble manner. We're not having an argument. We're not going into the ins and outs. This is how I feel. This is what is happening, and this is what I'm going to do about it. In a lot of situations, this is actually quite tricky, and it won't be solved just like that. But I want you to park that for the moment, because we do look at that in a minute. But in some scenarios, when you have done the feel score analysis, you realise that actually there are things you can do that are just to do with you, your personal who you are, rather than your general situational environment, that are making you feel bad, and you hadn't really noticed it before because you hadn't really been looking at it in this way before. For example, it could be someone who really, now they're thinking about it, they may prefer, for example, if they're working, they may prefer to work in a different shift pattern. So maybe one reason that they do feel bad, albeit in a small way, but it's all significant if it goes on for years and years and years, is because they don't like working in the day. Maybe they would prefer to do a night shift. So once you've identified that, if you like being up all night, then what are you working in the day for? So what you could do is you could either try and find another job which does shift work, or you could approach your manager or your line manager if your place where you work has an opportunity for 24-hour shifts. Maybe you can change your shift. It's as simple as that. Or maybe one thing you could realise that maybe you want to be around your children more, because actually, what are you going to work for? Well, you're going to work to earn money to provide childcare. What's the point in all that? But if you actually realise that I do actually like to be around my children, and that is what I prefer. I prefer to be like that. Then you can look at maybe leaving a job if it affects the times that you can be with your children, and maybe finding alternative employment where you can spend more time with the children. For example, you could go self-employed, or maybe you could work in the evening if you have a husband or a partner, or if you're male, a wife or a partner, and you can kind of do it in shifts. So some of you can work some hours and the other one can work other hours. So between the two of you, you can make sure that you're having a connection to the children, because as previously discussed, it's not just all about you, it's about your connection with other people and how they are in themselves as well. So things to do with that, jobs and employment, can be sorted out once you realise what it is that's bothering you on this feel score level. and you can use your imagination, use your brain to work out what you can do about it. So that's 2 examples in work. The other thing you could do is that you may realise that actually, you actually prefer not to eat meat, actually, and you may have been eating meat all your life, but you've never really liked doing it, you don't really feel right about it, can't put your finger on it, the whole thing, but actually you prefer not to eat meat. So give it a go. That sort of thing that can come to you is sometimes quite easy to solve, so then you could just put yourself on a vegetarian diet, see how it goes. If your friends and family or whoever's don't like it, well, sorry, it's not about them, this is about you, it's about how you feel. It's not actually affecting them, is it? And if you do what you prefer, as in being a vegetarian, because eating meat does make you feel bad, then it can only be better, because it means you will feel better, and it also means if you feel better, then you'll be better around everyone else. This is so long as it doesn't affect them, yeah? Because it doesn't, it just affects you. As we will talk about probably in another video, this isn't about doing what you want, it's about being who you are. So being who you are isn't actually sometimes an easy, nice experience. I've given you some examples just now that if, for example, what I want is to have loads of money, but who I am is someone who wants to look after my children, then that might be quite a hard decision to make, but at least you'll feel better if you're with your children. If you just go and try and earn lots of money because that's what you want to do, you'll never feel good if you are missing your children. So remember, it's not about what you want, it's about who you are, and can you be that in the situations you are in. If you can't, we'll talk about that in a minute, but you need to raise your own bar so you can carry the situation along if you're receiving -feel scores. But if you can do something about it, and normally this is in the who am I personal who am I perspective, often you can do something about that. And all you have to do is to explain to people in a kind and humble way what you're doing and what you're doing it for, and carry on with it, and good luck. And if it's something to do with work, you just start a job search, you start to approach managers, you start to look at alternatives to employment. So, thank you very much, and have a go at that.